Different strokes for different folks. Now, that quote will make more sense in a bit. Welcome to PsyPop. Let's talk about sex and kinks from a psychological perspective. First of all, what are kinks exactly? Well, a kink refers to a non traditional sexual or intimate behavior. One of the most well known kinks of them all being BDSM, which is somewhat or attempted to be portrayed in 50 Shades of Grey. Now, to give a brief history on the existence of kinks, kinks, as we understand them in the modern sense, have been around since as long as humanity has been around. Now, many cultures see sex quite differently, but they can all unify in the idea of thinking, you know what, sex is pretty good, but I can make it better. For example, the Greek stories and art related on the subject matter shows that they were quite the experts, let's say, and quite open about kinks of all forms. Now, I'm not even sure if I'm allowed to discuss all of them in detail in YouTube, but here's some art they put on a pot with a goat and a bunch of men involved, let's just say.
And depicts the classic Greek fable: boy meets girl, boy has goat legs, and on the back, just a whole bunch of wheat.
Now, fun fact, this kink episode came up due to a prevalent belief that the trauma one experiences and kinks connect with each other. Now, this idea may be just fun and games for most, but funny enough, our experiences, whether bad or good, growing up, and kinks correlating does have some existing psychological theories to support the claim. Now, when it comes to kinks and psychology, you're almost legally obligated to talk about Sigmund Freud and his work on psychosexual development. Freud's five classical stages of psychosexual development may be an antiquated psychological perspective, but it can definitely serve as a basis for discussing the psychological perspectives of kinks. The five stages in his theory are the oral, anal, phallic, latent, and genital phases, each being an erogenous zone associated with the development of a child. Now, Freud believed that if a child failed to be adequately satisfied during a particular stage of development during those time frames, the later adult would grow to have a fixation or fetish for that specific source of pleasure. Certainly, one way of explaining why some people have certain kinks, I suppose. On the other hand, Eric Erikson may not have necessarily considered sex and kinks when he developed the stages of psychosocial development, but the principles of his theory may be worth reviewing because the development of kinks may have some roots in his concepts as well, funny enough. The theory states that personality develops in order through 8 different stages of development. Again, there are stages similar to Freud. In each stage, there is a psychosocial crisis that is faced that can have a positive or negative effect on the person's development going forward due to a lack of certain psychological needs being met. With that out of the way, let's look at some examples and see how this could be seen as a possible root of certain desires through generally what can be gleaned here is influence over the main two traits within the kink community of dominance versus submissiveness. For example, in the infancy stage, lack of nourishment and affection may lead to a longing need for that in a person's life.
Who's your daddy?
I don't know.
In early childhood, lack of a sense of autonomy or independence may lead someone to feel a need for control in their lives in the future, or conversely lead someone to prefer someone else directing things for them.
All right, what I am about to say will make you very horny, but you have to try and remember that we're still at work. Do you want me to quiz you?
Oh God, yes.
Wow. Okay, great.
Play age, similar to the early childhood. In the play age, there is a sense of confidence that is meant to be developed in this period that either nurtured or lacking may also influence kinks subconsciously in regards to general dominance, submissive tendencies. In school age, whether one is able to feel a sense of competence in themselves or a sense of inferiority may influence their needs again in the future, such as a need to prove themselves or a need for praise. Later on in adolescence, identities are typically formed during this age, even without trying to angle it towards kinks. And so the struggle here of one being able to find comfort in identifying themselves a certain way versus feeling lost and confused as their own identity could lend itself to experimentalism as one tries to navigate the awkward phase in life for the things they like and dislike. Then, in early adulthood, as a sort of continuation of the forming of an identity during this period, Erickson states it is a time for one to try to establish intimate connections, lest they feel lonely or isolated if they're unable to. This may lead the person in question to find a sort of substitute for intimacy if they are unable to find it. At middle age, in this phase of life, one is said to be searching for fulfillment and purpose. One may be soul searching at this point for something that brings them satisfaction, whether that be continuing to explore different possibilities or addressing needs they find they still have from previous stages going forward. Lastly, at old age, one is typically seeking to find meaning to the things that they've done throughout their lifetime, and their libido goes down, so most begin to stop engaging in kinks at this point or take more senior roles in guiding others about the acts of certain kinks, such as in the BDSM community, teaching younger members how to engage in the act safely. With all that said, kinks form in each stage due to a response to their lack or their desire to achieve a need in their own lives. This does bring up the argument of how do we look at kinks and their contribution to our lives then? Firstly, do we address it as a defense mechanism to cope with life? Well, a lot of our kinks are trauma bound in the sense that they directly influence our perspective and experiences around intimacy and gratification or pleasure. Kinks help us feel more in control of ourselves and the situation. In a way, they help reaffirm our autonomy, our boundaries, and our experiences with others and in intimacy in general. Arguably, specific role playing during sex is actually therapy or a healing process as a way for individuals to feel empowered and in control due to the predictability of the act and the fact that kinks are two-way streets. They are consensual between both, if not more, parties in the act.
Ernie, home. You have fun today?
Yes, and I have a surprise for you.
Please be Cinderella. Please be Cinderella.
Well, hello, Prince Charming.
There are many reasons why people engage in these complex erotic lifestyles, and most of it boils down to enjoyment, which already is widely varied in itself and extends beyond trauma already. Being vanilla is completely fine. Sex is pleasurable in all its forms. Cultural, religious, and personal views on sex may vary, whether it's a process for survival, a form of intimacy, or solely for pleasure, to name a few. As humans, we have sexual instincts instilled in us already that pushes us to keep humanity going. If you stop doing sex, humanity stops. Keep doing sex to survive, you know? Take that as a fun fact and a word of advice. But even outside just survival, sex is a form of intimacy with your partner and brings both of you closer together psychologically and physiologically by improving your bond as your hormones positively affect your feelings towards one another. Lastly, I want to look at kinks a third way as a form of communication with your partner. While they are quite out of the box, unconventional pleasures, kinks are a way of knowing your own preferences for a more pleasurable and even more fulfilling sexual experience. Do you like BDSM and roleplay? Do you like being slammed or choked? Do you have any fetishes? Feel free to answer in the comments below. No shame from all of us here at PsyPoints. Go be free to do as you will. Whatever your answer is to these few questions can help you better explore yours and your partner's deepest desires and even bring excitement to the relationship that you have. Kinks aren't something to be afraid of, especially if it's fully consensual and non-threatening. While there is a lot to unpack when it comes to kinks, an interesting fact around it is its usefulness as a type of therapy or healing process. While sex has been a taboo topic since the birth of the human consciousness, kink shaming has taken its own form in putting people and their realities or experiences inside this small box. Non-normative desires may make others uncomfortable or just generally make you feel like there's something wrong with you or that you don't belong in the community. Well, the reality is that none of us do fit in any box or shape that is anything but our own. We're all individuals. We're all unique. So ultimately, do what makes you feel good and happy. It's good to be firm with what you are and aren't okay with, as long as it doesn't cross any boundaries of actual safety to yourself and to others.
Wait, you. Are you getting off on the danger of the situation?
Maybe.
Oh, you.
Are you serious?
Oh, ew.
Don't kink shame me!
If established boundaries are crossed, it may lead to abusive or violent encounters to begin with, which is why communication is so important, not only with your sexual partners, but with yourself.
Hey, it's okay. I still love you. Let me be a part of this.
Let me be a part of this.
I saw what you were doing in Tulsa. Angry sharks turn you on.
No, they don't.
Educate yourself and your partners on everything that's important to you and be open to educate yourself on what they want. That way we can all safely enjoy kinks and hopefully eliminate the stigmas that come along with it. After all, different strokes for different folks.
He said it! He said it!
With that, thank you all for watching. Please comment any topic you'd like for us to tackle next. We already did a previous video on sex education in general and the state of that in our country, so feel free to watch that one. It was just the last upload prior to this. And yeah, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I really appreciate you watching, especially since this is a topic that's on the more taboo side. YouTube will make it harder to spread and promote, so any form of support is welcome. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day ahead, and please take care of yourselves and stay safe, of course. Take care.